trying to investigate, and you don't seem to want to be compliant. I'm sorry for that.
We're not required to be compliant.
I'm sorry
by
for that.
law. No law requires me to be compliant. In fact, the Constitution of the United States gives me my 5th and 4th Amendment right not to be search and seize and not to give you any information unless I'm suspected of a crime. And y'all have yet to articulate a crime.
Again, you're refusing to be compliant. And that's
no,
fine.
There's no crime.
You've been read your rights.
There's
and
no
that's
crime.
fine. You're currently being detained.
There's no crime.
And you want to speak to a supervisor.
What's the crime?
That's fine. Okay.
What's the crime, boss?
Again, you and I have already had this discussion. I'm not going to rehash.
Welcome back, everybody. As many of you guys know, I'm a law enforcement trainer instructor. I train and instruct military and law enforcement all across the country on various law enforcement disciplines to include constitutional law, case law, patrol tactics, use of force, investigations, etc. And here, we're just going to talk early about the communication real quick. But the communication here is just poor. Poor communication on the officer's part. It seems like the person being detained is trying to know what his reasonable articulable suspicion is, and the cop just wants to continue to talk about you're not being compliant. And like the gentleman here who's being detained, he's absolutely right. He's not under, nobody's under any law obligation lawfully to help aid law enforcement in their interrogation, investigation, interview, whatever you want to call it. You're under no obligation to aid them in helping them build a case against you. Okay, you have the right to remain silent, and you can invoke that right whenever, right? Not just in custodial settings. And so, the fact that this officer keeps saying, well, since you don't want to be compliant, again, it's not a crime not to be compliant. Now, he can't physically hurt the officer, right? There's levels to this, but simply not wanting to aid you, if you want to call that as being uncompliant, now you're just using words to use them. I blame this a lot on this new communication that we're starting to see. I'm not a big fan of a lot of these de-escalation communication courses, a lot of these what people call word judo courses. I'm just not a big fan of it because it's not taught in a science-based approach. It's not taught in a science-based way. And I think a lot of it is just, if I'm being honest, and again, this is just based upon, again, my training experience, it feels like this officer isn't talking to him, but the officer is talking to his body camera. Which, again, I'm not saying is right or wrong. That's up to him, right? I don't tell people what to do, right? That's not my job to tell people. My job is to teach you. My job is to go over stuff. My job is to make people aware of things, show best practices, show science-based approaches. But my job is not, I can't be there roadside with you and tell you how to do your job, right? So that's what it seems like this is doing. It seems like the officer is just talking to his body camera. He doesn't really care who the person he has detained. He really has zero desire, zero interest in what he's saying. It seems like he's just talking to his body camera. You're not being compliant, right? Because I imagine as he writes his report, he's going to be able to say, I numerous the suspect or whoever I had detained was being uncompliant. I told him several times he was being uncompliant. Again, it seems like he's not talking to the individual. He's talking to his body camera and whoever might see his body camera, and hopefully in his eyes, he's thinking, hopefully I can create a nexus. Kind of like what we've seen in the other videos, right? I really think that officers feel like if they use certain words and they use them enough, it'll automatically connect this nexus to a crime, right? So if I say uncompliant a bajillion times, maybe we'll just stumble into a crime that I can then enforce. And that's what it feels like. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think that he's just talking to his body camera? What do you think of this officer and how he's contacting and how he's communicating with this person that he has detained? I'm really interested to know what your feedback is in the comment section below. If you guys like this content, please like, share, subscribe. And as always, guys, long live the Republic.